Welcome back everyone. Hi, if you're new, I'm Tori, and today we have a really big video to get into. We are going to talk all about series for 2025. I'm going to split this video up into a few different parts. So in the first half, we're going to talk about completed series that I want to continue on with, and also completed series that I want to start in 2025. And then in the second half of the video, we're going to talk about ongoing series that I want to start this year, and also series that I'm already reading that are ongoing that I just want to continue on with. There is so much to get into in this video. Again, it's going to be a big one, so get comfortable, get a snack, a drink, something, and it's going to be a good time. And I should mention before we jump in, I have a lot more that I do want to get to in 2025 aside from this, but just for the purpose of this video, I did pull out series that I identified as just being like the absolute priorities for 2025 that I want to focus on. So still a lot coming that's not on this list, but again, this is kind of like, you know, just a starting point. And I do want to do a video like this each quarter just to see where I am, you know, check in with you guys. And also I think it'll be nice to just kind of hold myself accountable with checking some of these series off of my list, because some of them have been going on for far too long and I don't want to let too much time lapse with any more of them. That is my goal for 2025. Focus on series, get them off my TBR, and also incorporate some new ones into the mix. So it's an exciting list here. It's a lot here. I hope you guys enjoy this video. Let's get into it. So let's first start with completed series that I want to either finish or continue on with in 2025, and I have 4 of them in this section. For this, I have the Dandelion Dynasty series by Ken Liu, the Chorus of Dragons series by Jen Lyons, the Rook and Rose series by M.A. Carrick, and the Song of the Shattered Sand series by Bradley P. Bollier. Now, 2 of these 4, Dandelion Dynasty and Rook and Rose, those are priorities to finish in 2025. I read The Grace of Kings and most recently finished The Wall of Storms. This series is phenomenal. You guys have heard me say it time and time again, and it's just one that I just want to continue on with as soon as possible. So I will be getting to The Veiled Throne book 3 sometime in Q4 of 2025. That is priority. And then just finishing out the series before the end of the year. And then when it comes to the Rook and Rose trilogy by M.A. Carrick, I love book 1, The Mask of Mirrors, so much. And this series is just one that has fallen down the TBR because so many other things have gotten in the way, but it's one that I do want to finish out because The Mask of Mirrors I just thought was incredible. I do still have to read The Liar's Knot book 2, and finally the 3rd book is Labyrinth's Heart. So again, that's doable, and I plan to wrap up that series in 2025. And then finally, I have 2 completed series that I'm not like necessarily pushing myself to finish in 2025, but I do at least want to make some significant progress in these 2 series in this year. And so again, that would be the Chorus of Dragons and the Song of the Shattered Sand series. To this day, I'm still thinking about things that happened in the Ruin of Kings, and I still remember a lot that happened in that book. So I definitely want to make some progress this year, some strong progress this year, and at least get 2 more books in this series under my belt. If I finish the series, great, but at least 3 books in is where I would love to be. And then in terms of the Song of the Shattered Sand series, this one is a lot longer. This is a 6-book or 7-book maybe completed series, and there are novellas that take place in between the books, kind of like Sun Eater series. So right now I only have 1 of the books under my belt, and that would be The 12 Kings and Sharakai. I love this book so much. I have talked about Sharakai. I talk about this series so much you would think I've actually made more progress than I have, but I love this series. This is a desert inspired fantasy series. I just think the world building in it is incredible, and I do love our main character Shada. And again, this is one that I still remember some key details for, so I don't anticipate having to go back and reread it to continue on, but I do at least want to get 2 more books in this series off of my TBR, and then also get in some of the novellas. So maybe 2 main series and then 2 novellas for 2025. And now let's get into series that are ongoing that I'm currently reading and want to catch up to the series in 2025. And so the first one is definitely Sun Eater by Christopher Rocchio. I'm currently now 3 books into the series, having read Demon in White in 2024, and I've also read 2 of the novellas, and I've read 1 of the short story collections. So again, this is a series that I am going to be caught up with by the time the 7th and final book, Shadows Upon Time, comes out sometime in 2025. So what's left for me in this series is Kingdoms of Death book 4. We've got book 5, Ashes of Man. Book 6 is Disquiet Gods, and the 7th book, Shadows Upon Time. I don't know yet if I'm going to continue on with some of the short story collections in this world. Maybe I will, I don't know. If I'm intrigued enough, I think I will, but I think now I just kind of want to focus on just the main entries in the series, and maybe I will go back eventually and pick up some of the short story collection. The other series that I'm currently reading right now, I feel so bad for this book, but that is Empire of the Damned by Jay Kristoff. This book was on my 2024 TBR. It was one of my anticipated releases for 2024 because I love Empire of the Vampire so much. But as we just started getting later into the year, my Sun Eater reading started picking up. I started reading some thicker books at the end of 2024, and Empire of the Damned just did not stand a chance. And unfortunately, it did fall off of the TBR, but I am gonna pick it back up in 2025 because I do want to be prepared for that third and final book that's slated to come out sometime this year. I think the release date is like sometime in November, so definitely going to be getting to Empire of the Damned really soon here on the channel. And then the third series that's currently ongoing that I want to catch up with before the next release is the Magic of the Lost series by C.L. Clarke. I recently read The Unbroken book 1, and that was just amazing. It ended up making my best books of 2024 list, and I loved it. Again, I was just so impressed with the world building in it. I love how C.L. Clarke just handled really complex and, you know, kind of just complicated things dealing with colonialism and our main character's thoughts and feelings regarding that. So really loved our main characters and just the story overall with The Unbroken. So I do want to continue on with book 2, The Faithless, very soon here. I actually have it like lined up on the TBR for next month. Sometime in 2025, the third and final book, The Sovereign, is supposed to come out, so I'll be all caught up when that happens. Now, you guys, we're going to get into what I think is probably the longest part of this video, and that is completed series that I want to start in 2025. Some of these series, well, most of them have caught my attention maybe in the last like couple of years or so, maybe like 2-3 years. And then there are some of them that have actually been on my TBR for a while and just more recently have been kind of bumped to the forefront, and I'm finally going to get to them in 2025. So to kick off this section of the video of series that I actually want to start this year that are finished, the first one would be the Lycanius trilogy by James Islington. You can probably see I already have all 3 of them right behind me. Have not read them yet. I think I was just so excited by what I read in The Will of the Many that I was just like, I need to go back to this series. I need to read what James Islington did first. And I was just like so kind of like amped up about it that I just had to go out and get the whole series. It's said to have kind of a traditional classic fantasy feel to it. I even think the tagline on the first book says something like, you know, if you love The Wheel of Time, you would really love this series. I haven't read The Wheel of Time, but I do have a good feeling about this. So this series is going to be happening very soon because I want to get into it. I want more from James Islington while I wait for Strength of the Few to come out. So this is coming up high priority on the TBR really soon. But the other series I want to get into in 2025 is The Long Price Quartet by Daniel Abraham. I think I mentioned this before. This is a book I picked up because of Tori from Tori Talks. Her enthusiasm and her love for this series just kind of shot the first book up my interest list, and I just went out and got the first one used, and I'm really excited for this. It seems to me in the series that setting feels like it's going to be almost like an important character in a sense. You know, we've got this, it sounds like this prosperous city in terms of like economics and culture and all of that, and something changes, I think, when a stranger enters the city. I'm not 100% sure, but again, just the description of it and it sounds like the detail to world building in this one really caught my attention, so I do want to get into this series and see how I find it. But even, you know, aside from that, I'm just really curious to read Daniel Abraham's standalone work. You know, I've now read him, James S.A. Corey, like in The Expanse, and then the most recent series, Captives War. So I do want to kind of give James S.A. Corey a break and try Daniel Abraham's work by himself. And then another completed series that I plan to start in 2025 is none other than the Calatian Saga by Andrew D. Meredith. I am just beyond grateful. Andrew sent me his entire series. This is just wild. I just love this so much. I'm so grateful. So I'm just going to read the back to you guys so you can get a sense of it. So it says, lives endangered by colleagues they once trusted, a pair of mercenaries hit the road in an attempt to earn respect and coin. Lost messages and growing heresy threaten to collapse a holy order of paladins while a simple guard is called to a deeper faith by his god. The physician to an aging matriarch takes up a seemingly ageless seed pod from a botanist's desk, an action that will change her life forever. The path to deeper faith beckons, prophets are made on the road, and darkness moves, a winged, deathless fury, invisible to the gods. This just sounds so good. And then the last part of it says, for those who seek the hero's path, fate takes more than bargained for. Hubris breeds a deathless wrath, that always hungers after more. This just sounds amazing. It sounds like it's going to be an epic series. So I'm excited to crack this open in 2025. And again, just a big thank you to Andrew so much for sending me this series, and also sending, like, I got some other little bookish goodies and bookmarks and stickers. It was just such a beautiful and thoughtful gift. And yeah, again, I'm so thankful. Another completed series I'm prioritizing this year would be the Inheritance trilogy by N.K. Jemisin. I had to actually sit down and think about this. I have not read N.K. Jemisin since, it's been 5 years now. I haven't read her since 2020. The last things I read from her, I read The City We Became. I read that when it came out, or around the time it came out. And then I read her short story in the Amazon short story collection, Emergency Skin, and both were really good. That was the last time I read N.K. Jemisin. And even prior to 2020, I read the Broken Earth trilogy, which was just phenomenal, like still one of my favorite series. So it's just been way too many years. It's been too long. I didn't even realize it's been that long since I've picked up anything from N.K. Jemisin. And I do already have 100,000 Kingdoms on my shelf already. And I also have the first book to her other series, the Dream Blood duology, on my shelf, but I think I do want to prioritize Inheritance over the Dream Blood series right now. The 100,000 Kingdoms is actually her debut novel, so I think it'll be really fascinating to go back and read that, you know, after having read something like the Broken Earth trilogy. So just to see where her books started and how they've grown, I think will be really interesting. So I got to get back to N.K. Jemisin in 2025. I love her work. And yeah, I can't let 100,000 Kingdoms just keep sitting on my shelf. So it's a series that I do want to prioritize picking up in 2025. And then next on this completed series list, you guys, this is a book that has literally been on my TBR, I want to say for 4 years, maybe longer. I don't know when the first book came out, but I feel like it's been about 4 years at this point that this book has been just chilling on my TBR. And it wasn't until last year I saw Angela from Literature Science Alliance just having a great time with this series. And each video I saw when she was like reading through the series, I was like, man, that series is bumping up my TBR now because of her. I feel like, I want to say she finished the series in 2024. I could be wrong about that, but I feel like she finished it and just loved the whole thing. And so that just kind of was the kick in the butt that I needed to finally get into this series. So in 2025, I'm really excited to finally be reading the Terra Ignota series by Ada Palmer, and book 1 is Too Like the Lightning. This sounds like it is going to be a really just kind of epic and detailed and complex science fiction series. So really looking forward to finally seeing how I get on with all of this. And I think it's just really encouraging to see that Angela loved it so much. So I'm taking that as a good sign, and I hope to also have a good time with Terra Ignota in 2025 and finally get at least the first book off of my TBR. It's just been sitting there way too long. And then finally, I have 3 books, or 3 series rather, to chat about to kind of close out this section here. And one of them I'm really excited about, actually. This is one that has just been kind of creeping up on me. That sounded really creepy. Just kind of like creeping up on me, creeping up on my TBR. It's been on my radar for a while. And that would be Memory, Sorrow, and Thorns series by Tad Williams. And I think the sequel series has just wrapped up with the most recent release that came out. We've got this trilogy, and now we've got the continuation series that's finished. And so it seems like this would be a good time to finally get into this series. This has just really caught my interest lately. And one of my TikTok mutuals just recently described it as like cozy Game of Thrones. And that just sounds perfect to me. I already love Game of Thrones, and I feel like I'm just in the right mood at this time for just a really chunky, grand, you know, classic fantasy story. And this has been getting so much praise recently that you would think it's a newer series, but it's definitely, you know, on the older side. It's inspired so much of what we're reading now in fantasy. George R.R. Martin himself, it's on the cover, it says that this is one of his favorite series, and he was also inspired by a lot in here to create A Song of Ice and Fire. So I just think that is also really interesting. And this series for me just seems like right place, right time. Tad Williams is an author I've kind of had my eye on for a while. I do have his sci-fi book on my shelf too, Otherland City of Golden Shadow, that I want to get into. So yeah, this might be a good year finally to pick up Tad Williams, see what I think. But Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn in particular is one that has really had my attention for a while now. And then finally for this section, you guys, one classic fantasy series that I plan to read in 2025 that I have never read before is The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien. I read The Hobbit, but that was many, many years ago, and I don't feel like I don't remember a whole lot from The Hobbit, so I would include that like in my Lord of the Rings journey. I've never read Lord of the Rings. I've never seen the movies. I really cannot tell you what is going on in the Lord of the Rings. I have no idea how this series just kind of blew past me growing up. I think I was just so much more into like Harry Potter and Twilight and, you know, all of that when I was younger, but never read the Lord of the Rings, missed out on all the films. So I think this will be a really interesting journey. And I already have all of the books on my shelf already. When I was in high school for Christmas, my mom actually, or maybe I was in early college, I don't remember. But a while ago, a long time ago, my mom got me the like completed Lord of the Rings box set that included The Hobbit as well, as just a beautiful Christmas gift. And it's just a gift that sat on my shelf all of these years. I've never gotten rid of it. I don't get rid of gifts anyway, but it's been sitting up there. It's been collecting dust, and I've never cracked it open. So I think finally I need to go back and experience this series and see what it's all about. I'm just excited to dive into it, see what's going on. And I feel like lately I've just been in a like epic, classic fantasy, traditional fantasy sort of mood. So this is like coming at the right time. I do plan maybe to like get into this maybe late summer heading into the fall. So as the weather starts to get a little bit cooler again, I think this will be a great series to pick up. But nonetheless, I really want to check the Lord of the Rings off of my TBR finally. And now you guys, let's get into a couple of ongoing series that I want to start in 2025. And the first one here, I am just so beyond excited to be holding this right now, and that is the Legends of the Bruhai series by none other than Tori from Tori Talks. Tori was kind enough to send me a copy of her epic fantasy novel, and I'm just so excited to be holding this. I cannot wait to read this. I'm going to read you the description from the back. This sounds so amazing. It says, "His name is not worthy. A traitor is executed, his name ripped away from history. Now the kingdom stands on the brink of a succession war that could bring the country to its knees. Forces stalk the darkness, moving pawns into place in a deadly game." And it says, "Garen and his brothers were not meant to witness the execution, but now they find themselves trapped in the center of a political quagmire. When Garen faces the loss of everything he knows, will he also lose himself? To the south, tribal warlords clash in an endless cycle of violence. Sindri, the daughter of a chieftain, kills for the honor of her people. An alliance with a foreign queen offers the power to unite tribes, but at what cost? Someday, history will remember them as legends." I just got chills reading that. Just shout out to Tori on this incredible feat, publishing your novel, this beautiful cover. I'm really excited. Really excited. And to be holding a copy, I just feel so honored. So thank you so much. This is a priority for 2025. I cannot wait to tell you guys what I think about this book. And then finally, in this section for ongoing series that I want to start, I wasn't quite sure where to put this series because I've already like kind of started this series, but anyways, it's the Bound in the Broken series by Ryan Cahill. I have already read the prequel, The Fall, and I really enjoyed The Fall. There was a moment there I was really considering putting The Fall somewhere on my like top 10 best of the year. I had a really good time with that first book. Had no idea for a while like what was going on because you're just dropped into the middle of all of this action and you're meeting all these different characters in different parts of the world, it seemed like, and just already some backstabbing and betrayal going on. It was a lot happening in that short novella. So now I want to officially get into the full series, starting with Of Blood and Fire, or I think it's a Fire and Blood. I always get titles like that mixed up. So I do want to get into that in 2025. Finally start this series and see what I think of it. Bound in the Broken has been having a moment. It seems like another one that's just going to be like a good, epic, classic fantasy series that pulls on some traditional fantasy tropes. So excited to get into it and see what I think, see how Ryan Cahill handles all of that. And I'm really looking forward to that journey. So gonna start the first book sometime this year and hopefully love it enough where I want to continue on with the rest of the series. And then now you guys, for the last part of this video, I'm going to go through this pretty quickly. I'm going to talk about new series that are starting in 2025 that I plan to pick up when they come out. So we just have a few of them here. The first one, without a doubt, is the Great Silence series by Richard Swan. Book 1, Grave Empire, is coming out in February. This is a continuation series to the Empire of the Wolf trilogy. I have talked about Empire of the Wolf trilogy so much. I love that series so much, and I will be picking up Grave Empire very soon. I cannot wait. It takes place, I think, like 100 years after the events of the first of the Empire of the Wolf trilogy. So I just cannot wait to see like where we are, like what's happening, new characters, all of that. Oh, I can't wait. So that's coming up real soon. I actually have an arc for this, so I should probably get to that arc pretty soon. And another series that's actually already started, that would be the Everlands trilogy by Ed Crocker. This is a series I've already started. I'm currently reading the first book, Lightfall, right now, and I have a lot of thoughts about this book so far. I'm almost done. I'm a little bit past the midway point, so I do want to wrap this up before the week is over. This is a book that is said to be perfect for fans of Empire of the Vampire and the Justice of Kings. And yes, Empire of the Vampire, of course, like this is a vampire story. There's other species in this world as well. So yeah, that comparison, obviously, it makes sense. And then Justice of Kings, we're getting in that comparison because there is a mystery element that's at the heart of the story. I mean, this is good. That's kind of like my base reaction right now. Like, this is a good reading experience, but there's little things here and there that are just not doing it for me quite in the way that I would like them to. So yeah, I have a lot of thoughts about this series. We're gonna get into them probably like in the next couple of videos or so. I'm gonna update you guys, but overall it's a solid reading experience, but just some little things here and there that are not working for me like I thought they would. But we'll see how it all plays out. Then coming out this year, we've got a really exciting one. I cannot wait for this, and that is A Song of Legends Lost by MHIND. I'm not sure exactly what this series name is going to be called yet, but book one is A Song of Legends Lost, and this just sounds like it's going to be great. We have a character who's from the slums, and they like accidentally summon ancestor magic or something wild is going on, and that just sounds like it's going to be a good time. This is coming out from Orbit this summer, so keep that on your radar. And then the last series that's starting in 2025 that I plan to get into when it releases is the Astral Kingdoms series, and this is by David Dalglish. The first book is The Radiant King. I'm like cautiously optimistic about this one because I mentioned this before, I didn't love his book The Bladed Faith. I actually just thought it was, I don't know, just leaned on some traditional fantasy tropes in a way that wasn't very exciting, didn't really do much to kind of put its own spin on it. So I don't know, I wasn't a big fan of that first book, and I just DNF'd that entire series. I do want to give David Dalglish another chance. This series does sound somewhat interesting with book one coming out soon, so we'll see what I think of it, but this is one that is on the radar for when it comes out. And then last but not least, you guys, I'm going to run through this section pretty quickly. These are just series that I'm caught up with already, but I'm just waiting for the next book to come out. First is Red Rising. At this point, I will take any scrap of information about Red God, like a release window, maybe some like a cover review, I don't know, something. Give me something. But Red God, that last book in the Red Rising series, is slated to come out in 2025. I've said this time and time again, Red Rising is just one of my all-time favorite sci-fi series. I think it's incredible, and how this second half of the saga has gone for me. Oh my God, top tier series for sure. And then next is the Hierarchy series by James Islington. Sometimes I just want to sit and just stare at the wall and wait for Strength of the Few to come out because I don't know what else to do with my time. I just want Strength of the Few so badly to release, to be in my hands. I really think I'm gonna take like a vacation and like just spend a few days away from the world reading that book. I want it to release so badly. The Will of the Many was phenomenal, so I will be picking up Strength of the Few on day one. And then the next one is The Burning series by Evan Winter. I hope we just get some information about this next book, book 3, that's supposed to be coming hopefully sometime in 2025. I liked the first book, Rage of Dragons, fine enough. I think the second one, Fires of Vengeance, was amazing, and just for me really started elevating the series, and the characters grew on me a little bit more. So I mean, I just think, you know, keep the momentum going. Like, I just want to see a third book release in this series sometime this year. I think that would be great. And then Amina Al-Sarafi, just whatever Shannon Chakraborty wants to put out, I don't really care. I'll buy it. I'm also caught up with the Last Legacy series by James Logan. Book 1 was The Silver Blood Promise. Read that last year. I enjoyed it. It was fun. It was adventurous, and I am curious enough to see where our characters are going to end up in the second book. So that's on the horizon for later in 2025. The Kingdom trilogy, Bethany Jacobs. This Brutal Moon is also slated to come out in 2025. This series has been so great. Oh my God. These Burning Stars, On Vicious Worlds, just amazing. Just amazing. I keep telling you guys, you need to go pick up the Kingdom trilogy right now. And then last but not least, we have Empire Without End by Emery Robin, and that second book coming out is The Sea Eternal. If you guys aren't familiar, this is a sci-fi take on Julius Caesar, Mark Antony, Cleopatra, and we have a character who is just, she is a hot mess, and her twin sister takes over the planet after their father passes away, and our main character is like, not on my watch, and so she allies herself with his commander and just does the most outlandish scheming, plotting, all kind of stuff to try to get her throne back. I enjoyed it so much. It's a really, really slow burner political sci-fi book. It doesn't have the best reception, you guys. I always say this. So if you do go look it up and be like, oh my God, why is she recommending like 3.4 rating book? Don't look at the rating. Just if it sounds good, just please give it a chance. I really, really love the first book. So that is it for me, you guys. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. Let me know down in the comments the series that you plan on prioritizing in 2025, what you're trying to get off your TBR, series that you want to put on your TBR, or if you've read any of these that I mentioned in the video. I definitely want to hear about it and chat about it with you guys. So thanks again, and I will see you guys in the next video. But until then, take care.